Hey everyone, I'm Ellen here at etrailer.com. Today we're taking a look at the Pacer Performance High 5 Truck Cab Light Kit. Now this is going to give us the basic components of what we need to add the lights to the top of our cab. It's going to give us that big rig look and also help to make our truck more visible to other drivers out on the road. That's going to be especially important whenever we're going through any kind of inclement weather. We're out there on a dark highway, no lights around, so helps to make us more visible, especially if you're going through a foggy area, heavy rain, snow, or anything like that. So we'll get our 5 lights, the sockets to hold our bulbs. These are going to be a type 194 incandescent bulb. We also get the wiring harness, quick splice connectors, the screws for our lights, and some O-rings to go beneath the head of that to make sure that no water gets in there, the screws to hold our switch, and the switch itself. So just about everything that you need to get this installed. If I were putting it on my truck, I would want a couple extra things, and I'll go over those with you in a minute. These lights are styled after the 1994 through 1998 Dodge factory roof lights, so you don't necessarily have to put them on a Dodge, but it just mimics that OEM style. One big thing to mention with this install, you are going to have to drill into your truck. There's just no way around that with getting these in place. For each of those lights to get mounted, it's going to have 2 holes on either side where those screws go down in, so you will have to make a little hole for each of those to get in place, and then you'll probably want to make a third for your wiring to drop down into there as well. So if that's a deal breaker for you, just letting you know that right up front that you do have to make some modifications to your truck to get these in place. Now it does come with this little foam gasket. It's just kind of like a dense foam piece. Bring that up closer to the camera and you can see what I'm talking about. So it's going to help to seal that up to make sure that no water gets in there, but if it were me, again, I would probably want to grab some silicone sealant. Just as an added precaution, you don't want any water getting into the headliner of your vehicle. You don't want to have to deal with flooding issues. So that's just something that I would add in there. Once this is tightened down pretty close to your roof line, it should smush around there and hold tight. It's just kind of to give you the warm and fuzzies to add a little silicone in there. But especially for that wiring connection, just to be double sure that it's not going to have any water seepage into the light housing. As far as how this is going to go together, I'm going to put one of these bulbs in place. You can just push it into this little socket. And this bulb type, you can actually find LED bulbs. I'm just going to get my fingerprints off of this, that match up with that. You can find them sold separately here at etrailer.com. They should look something like this. There's also a kit that's just like this that includes these. That would be part number PP20-231, and it's going to come with everything you see, including those LEDs. So if that's something that you want to go for, I would highly suggest it because those LEDs are probably going to last a bit longer than the incandescent bulbs, but totally up to you. So we're just getting that in place, turn it about 1/4 of a turn. I'm going to turn on my power supply here and we can look at that light to see how bright it is. Connecting my ground to that little black wire with the ring terminal on it, and then my power is going to go to this red wire. So you can see our light comes on there. So these aren't super bright. They're really just there to provide that extra visibility in the dark, but they're not going to light up the night or anything. I'm going to turn the lights out in the studio so you can get a better idea of what that looks like. So bright enough that we'll be able to see it, but not so bright that we're going to blind anybody while we're out on the road. The incandescent bulbs are a little bit dimmer than the LEDs, but not a whole lot dimmer. The main advantage with having the LEDs is that you don't have to worry about the filaments breaking over time. They should last a lot longer and have less of a power draw. But again, totally up to you. For the rest of our install, we'll have this wiring length. So we get the fuse that's in line with this kind of short piece. So one end of this is going to go to our switch. It has that little spade connector. It's going the back of one of those blades there, matches up. And then on our other piece of wiring, it's going to have another one of those connectors. So one will go to one end and the other will go there. This will go to our power supply for our truck, so probably to the positive side of our battery. And then this will connect into our lights. You might need a little bit extra wire, especially for the ground connection for each of those lights. It does have a ring terminal on that little housing, but you might want to extend it out. You might want to do something different. It's just always a good idea to have extra wire on hand just in case. And while you're here, it's better to do it beforehand rather than having to grab extra stuff once you're in the middle of your install. The last thing that I would suggest would be to switch out these quick splice connectors. Just in my experience, I've seen a lot of things fail because the quick splice has come undone, so I just don't particularly trust them. We've had a lot better experience with heat shrink butt connectors, which are just insulated butt connectors with a heat shrink wrap around them, and use a heat gun, shrink them down. They're watertight, and it makes a really good connection. You can also just get insulated butt connectors, which are the same thing. They just don't have that heat shrink addition. You can find those here at etrailer.com again, but it's just a thing that if it were me, I would want to have that so I don't have to worry about this little clip coming undone. Whenever you first smush them together, it snaps in there and it holds pretty well, but once those wires in there, it gets pretty tight, and sometimes it doesn't always snap, comes undone. It's not the best. So they work, and if you want to go ahead with it, that's fine. It'll get you going, but just in my experience here, I feel like that's usually the first point of failure for any kind of component that uses those quick splices. So a couple things that I would pick up for that gasket sealant or silicone gasket, extra wire, and some insulated butt connectors. Other than that, you should be good to go. We've got all the screws and hardware. The switch makes it nice so you can operate those lights separate from your lighting system in your vehicle, so you don't have to worry about tapping into your factory wiring and voiding any warranties. Of course, if you want to run these with your factory lights so they come on with your running lights, that's your choice, but they do include the switch, so you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It does meet all SAE specifications as far as the light size. Each one of these is going to be the same size, so it's about 3 inches wide, maybe 3 1/8 inch wide, by about 3 1/4. If we want to get real exact, it's maybe 13/16, 3 13/16, and then the height is about 1.5 inches tall. Distance between those two mounting holes, center to center, it's about 1 3/4 inches. All in all, pretty straightforward install. You just have to be patient, make sure that you measure everything to get everything lined up really nice and straight before you do any drilling. But that's pretty much going to do it for our look at the Pacer Performance High 5 Truck Cab Light Kit. I hope this video has been helpful in deciding whether or not this is going to be the right kit for you. Thanks for watching.